Taiwan must turn toward real allies. To be a Taiwanese diplomat is to be lonely, with most states diplomatically shunning the embattled island nation. Yet a recent feature in Nikkei Asia has highlighted the significant expansion of foreign diplomatic presence in Taiwan, with growing contingents from the United States, Japan, and the United Kingdom, reflecting the rising importance with which these countries view Taiwan. With more and more countries from Europe, Australia, and Southeast Asia looking to upgrade their engagements with the Asian democracy, Taiwan now faces a turning point in its diplomatic engagement. Will it turn toward its most significant political, economic, and military partners, or instead focus on its traditional so-called diplomatic allies? Unfortunately, Taiwan's foreign ministry is poised to squander the opportunity, as it doubles down on a diplomatic strategy inherited from the last millennium, one that prioritizes the 12 states or quasi-states which formally recognize the Republic of China, ROC, Taiwan's official name, relics of an era when the Republic of China and People's Republic of China, PRC, competed around the world for recognition as the one true China. They are microstates and political entities of little importance to Taiwan. 30 years ago, the people of Taiwan peacefully overthrew the authoritarian one-party state, led by the Chinese Nationalist Party, KMT, and are no longer interested in claiming to be the real China. However, recognizing that changing the name of the country would provoke a war with China, Taiwan has compromised on a ROC, Taiwan, national identity that emphasizes both the country's long-standing historical nationhood as well as the ROC Constitution, which governs the country. As China has moved to peel off the few remaining countries recognizing the ROC, it too has not grappled with the question of what happens when the ROC disappears from the diplomatic arena. Puzzlingly, the Taiwanese government remains obsessed with maintaining formal diplomatic relations at all costs with what it calls its diplomatic allies, even though none of them are formal treaty allies. As microstates and quasi-states, none will lift a finger to help Taiwan in a crisis. Certainly no Guatemalan has ever said a Taiwan contingency is a Guatemala contingency. Taiwan's government remains unable to explain to its people why they must expend so many resources on faraway countries that are in practice doing nothing for Taiwan. There is certainly an altruistic argument to be made in support of Taiwanese foreign aid programs, but these need not be contingent on recognition and are torn asunder by Taiwan's poor human rights record in Africa, where Taiwan has spent millions propping up the despotic regime of King Mswati, the third of Eswatini, who has received free private jets from Taiwan while imprisoning and killing pro-democracy activists. When Taiwan suffers from acute threats to its energy security, it is busy investing in multi-million-dollar oil reserve facilities in the authoritarian microstate. Eswatini is far from the only embarrassment among Taiwan's so-called diplomatic allies. Taiwan, a nation that is at most 1% Catholic, also claims to have formal diplomatic relations with the Holy See. Following the recent death of Pope Francis, the Foreign Ministry declared that its topmost priority was for President Lai Ching-te to attend Francis' funeral. When that failed, the Foreign Ministry insisted that the goal now was for Lai to attend the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV, yet was rebuffed again by its so-called ally. This, too, is not a relationship that brings Taiwan any benefits, serving as a distraction and drain on resources. Taiwanese diplomats insist that having UN member states recognize the ROC legitimates their claim to sovereignty, even though Taiwan already meets every condition for statehood under the Montevideo Convention and inarguably exercises sovereignty over its territory. By subsuming themselves to the constitutive theory of statehood, they are debasing Taiwanese sovereignty by associating with a group of states that themselves have very questionable claims to sovereignty. The Holy See does not exercise statehood in any meaningful way, while the island states of Palau and the Marshall Islands are functionally U.S. overseas territories. Extensive attempts at keeping this group in Taiwan's corner have come at the expense of cultivating deeper relationships with its true allies, those countries that are important to Taiwan politically, economically, and militarily. Taiwan's most important foreign policy is run not out of its handful of Republic of China embassies, but out of the dozens of Taipei Economic and Cultural Offices, TECOs, that represent Taipei's interests around the world. Despite the great importance the United States and the United Kingdom have attached to Taiwan, sending more and higher-level delegations of elected officials and diplomats, Taiwan's foreign ministry has shown diminished understanding of these countries. Taiwan has lavished financial benefits and attention on bygone political figures, such as Liz Truss and Mike Pompeo, instead of working to understand and engage rising stars in those countries' ascendant political movements. Taipei was caught off guard as the American national security establishment was overturned by MAGA 2.0, which any casual observer of U.S. politics would have foreseen. Having failed to cultivate deep relationships with the MAGA right and whatever iteration of the political left that might come to power in the future, Taiwan will struggle over the next 4 years to ensure it is not only bipartisan support in Washington, but a deep well of goodwill and understanding among the American people. Meanwhile, despite a growing Czech presence in Taipei, Taiwan is running the risk of having overpromised and underdelivered in Central and Eastern Europe. Closer to home, Taiwan has long neglected building stronger ties with the Philippines or investing significant soft power in the country whose military cooperation would be essential to the effective defense of Taiwan. If Taiwan continues to build comprehensive and durable relationships with real allies and partners, it has nothing to fear from direct recognition, which will only unburden it from costly and distracting diplomatic commitments. Instead, it may be China that has the most aloof from Taiwan turning away from the ROC's diplomatic allies, finally putting to bed the Cold War narrative of competition between the ROC and PRC, and leaving behind just China and Taiwan.